this is Roxbox90 here with another how to build your EDH Commander deck tech. So last video we talked about control. This video we're going to talk about combo. So combo, in my opinion, is the most difficult deck to run in EDH. Why? Two reasons. One, aggro. B, control. What am I saying? Basically, combo has to deal with aggro and control. Combo, as we said, tries to hold off threats that are coming at it until it can either tutor or draw the pieces it needs to make its combos work, and then it uses the combos to hopefully just win the game. The problem with this, of course, is that if you plan to deal with aggro's rush, which will overwhelm you before you can get your pieces going, then you're dead, and you have to focus your threat on aggro. Problem is that then you have no way of focusing on control, which can use counter spells and other things to break your tutors and break your card draw. And if you build to deal with the control, then you can't deal with the mass aggro. So combo is, in my opinion, the most difficult overall commander theme to build with, because it has to handle two equally deadly threats in two different ways and make itself work. Combo and control basically deal with aggro in a very similar way, and aggro and combo can deal with control in a similar way, usually. So you have the similar threats going on. Combo doesn't have that. So anyway, so what sort of things are we talking about? One viable subtheme would be Dredge. Dredge is a play on Reanimator. There are a number of Dredge engines, such as Golgari Grave Troll and Life from the Loam, and it becomes difficult to run Dredge without getting pieces for combo engines. So the most decks that run Dredge are going to be Sack and Recur or Reanimator, but they're going to have a quote-unquote Dredge enhancement, which is usually combo-driven. So this is, I guess, one good example of a hybrid, because Dredge will be combo aggro, combo control. It'll be like a hybrid if you want to run Dredge. So cards like Life from the Loam, as we said, Golgari Grave Troll, Stinkweed Imp, and general-wise, you can run things like Carador Ghost Chieftain. He's pretty good for dredging. So that's Dredge. Then you have Life Gain, which is pretty much life gain, as we said in EDH. Single life gain cards are useless. Life gain in general is useless because life gain forces you to play a defensive style trying to gain life. The problem is that many decks, especially other combo decks, when you have an infinity life loss, infinity mana for life loss, infinity creatures, life gain doesn't really help you at all. And you see infinity things all the time in EDH. So the only way to really win and play well with life gain is to be very defensive, gain life to pad yourself, to protect yourself against various attacks, and then you wait until late game, where you either do beatdown, where you use cards like Hatred or Necropotence in order to kill your opponents, or you have auto win cards, which is usually what life gain does. You wait, search your deck with tutors, to get Felidar Sovereign, Test of Endurance, cards that when you have a certain amount of life, you win the game automatically. You also will use cards to gain lots of life, hopefully. So big creatures with lifelink, and I know there are cards that allow you to sacrifice a creature and gain life equal to its toughness. If you somehow make it humongous, you can gain lots of life. So the biggest problem with life gain decks, as we said, is that in EDH there's a gazillion combos. Poison, infect damage, and general damage all kill you regardless of your life. But you can use these various cards to have either auto wins or combo pieces to make you win the game. You can protect yourself with things like Ivory Mask, True Believer, Leyline of Sanctity, Beacon of Immortality, which gains you doubles your life. These are all things that either give you life or protect you. So, of course, white is the most popular color. Generals you can use Atalia, Samite Master, Treva the Renewer, Ghost Council of Orzhov, 8.5 Tails. These are all examples. Gerard Capuchin is also one. I don't really know why people like to run him as their general for life gain, but you can. Then you have artifact combo decks. These are kind of just a broad, I just say artifacts because it's not really a category, so to speak, because every deck has artifacts. But the idea is you have a huge number of artifacts in order to allow you beat down combo strategies where you have certain artifacts that work really well with other artifacts to combo out and hopefully make your artifact so powerful that you just win. Or they just combo and give you things to win the game. So Tolarian Academy is banned. I know everyone looking for an artifact deck would run that, but you can use Metalcraft, you can use Affinity. There are a number of different artifact-styled cards that will work. For example, in EDH, the artifact lands from Mirrodin are not banned. Then again, you can only have one of each, but if you run a 5-color deck, then you can run them all. And if you run an artifact general, then your problem becomes that no matter what you run, your lands will only produce... Your lands can't be colored, and they have to be... they'll only produce colorless. So keep in mind that you can't use Karn and expect to use color. Although some of the other ones, as we'll mention in the general video, some artifact legends will let you do that. So you can see there are cards like Open the Vault, Cranial Plating, Master Transmuter, Steel Shaper's Gift, Trinket Mage, Treasure Mage, Tezzeret the Seeker. These are all good cards that you can use in large artifact combo decks to win. And then you have the weakness, of course, is things like Austere Command, destroy all artifacts. But you're in big trouble. So things like Darksteel Forge are almost a guarantee shoe-in to an artifact deck because it makes your things indestructible. The type of generals you tend to see ones like Sharuum the Hegemon, Jor-Kadeen, the Prevailer, Memnarch, Bosch the Iron Golem, Karn. These are all artifact generals that you'll see running in decks. So another strategy you can use is milling. So putting cards in your deck with things like Traumatize, Tomb Scour, in order to mill an opponent over a game, it can work, especially in 1v1, but it's generally not an effective strategy in EDH, multiplayer, and even in general EDH, having 1v1 or multiplayer. The problem is that it's much harder to mill a 99 card deck than a 60 card deck. That's just straight up. It's much more difficult, especially when your opponents have a lot more ways to deal with your spells, and in multiplayer you're milling a bunch of 99 card decks. So you have a lot of problems trying to mill people. But you do have combos that in combo decks that allow you to mill everyone instantly, or mill huge amounts of cards from all different players. Those are the sort of cards you have to look for if you want to mill your opponent. So you really want to do it. You don't want to do it over the course of the game. You want to do it instantly. And there are a number of combos you can run. So you can do things like Spin into Myth or Hinder, that puts cards in the bottom of their deck, and then you do Tunnel Vision, choose that card, mills their whole deck. You could do Karmic Guide, Reveillark with Altar of Dementia. So the sort of generals you run for this, you run Una, Queen of the Fae, Geth, Lord of the Vault. So big or infinite mana combos are kind of the only way you can mill out your opponent. Then you have probably the most overall broad-themed combo deck, which is called by most people Toolbox. It's not really a deck type, because every deck uses Toolbox to some extent, but there are decks that are sometimes built just as Toolbox decks. The idea being that when you want to do something in your house or you want to fix something, you go to your toolbox and you find whatever thing you need, whatever screwdriver, whatever thing you need, you take it out, you use it to fix any given problem. That's kind of the idea behind this deck. You have a bunch of problems in EDH to deal with, and you want to be able to go into your deck, get the solution to any problem, or having special threats in your deck that would cause problems for other colors and decks, and be able to bring them out and use them. So for example, if you're playing against a deck that's black and white, being able to search your deck for a Sword of Light and Shadow with a tutor and put it into play against that specific deck would be very useful if you're playing a multiplayer game. Let's say black and white is the strongest in your multiplayer game. You get Sword of Light and Shadow. Then let's say the blue and red one gets more powerful. You go look for Fire and Ice and put it into play. Or you get a Relic of Progenitus if an opponent is using a Reanimator deck, or somehow using its graveyard. So it's a very effective strategy, but of course the biggest problem is that because you have so many tools to deal with so many threats, and you only have 99 spots in your deck, you have to have enough room for tutors on sticks, and all the various cards that would deal with threats. So sometimes you'll draw cards you don't need, and you'll have no way to really use them, at least in the beginning of the game or the mid or late game. You'll draw the wrong things, you'll get the wrong tools, and often, even if you have the right tool in your deck, you may not have the right tutor to go get it, and you won't have the quote-unquote always good cards that you'll get for any situation. There's some cards that will always work well, and you often can't just get them because most of your cards in your deck are based and focused on one type. So you'll see cards like Sunforger, Fauna Shaman, Stonehero Giant, Godo, the Bandit Warrior, Survival of the Fittest, Demonic Tutor. These are all tutors on sticks tend to be better, but tutors in general in the toolbox deck will be required in order to work functionally. So popular toolbox generals, you have Momer Vig, Arkham Dagsum, Captain Saisei, generals that are themselves toolbox users. They tutor for things, they get you things you need, are the ones you want to run in a toolbox deck. So it's kind of a little broad, but I hope you guys get the idea of what I'm talking about. And then honorable mention, I don't know if it's exactly a combo deck, but I'm at the end of combo, and we're going to be moving on from here, so I'm going to throw in Group Hug. Hug, everybody. Group Hug is really unconventional, very political, and many EDH players who've been playing even a little while may not even know it exists, so keep an eye out. Group Hug, the idea being is you play super politically. You try to help people, you play people against others. Your deck does things like you play Howling Mine, where everyone draws more cards. Everyone's like, we like you. And then you can slowly manipulate one person to attack another person, or manipulate the board in order that everybody thinks that you're their friend when you're actually not. And then you either win some infinite combo, or you can win just by slowly setting yourself up until you're the most powerful dominant force on the field, and everyone else has beaten each other to death. This sort of deck, of course, is often not popular. Most EDH newcomers, I would say, stay away from this one, mostly because it's irritating to build, it's difficult to play, and if you're not careful with it, then people will start banning you from their games. Feldegriff is probably the most popular general for this sort of thing. He gets banned in most metas. Like, if I built one in my meta, I'm pretty sure very quickly he'd be gone. Zedruu is the commander deck they put out that's technically Group Hug. It's supposed to be you play with everybody, politicize, and try to be political. Unfortunately, being political as a deck doesn't really work. The idea is you have to be political. So Group Hug is novel, fun, maybe for a little while, often creates a lot of chaos and is disliked. So it's definitely a special deck. You might want to make it just for fun and play it once in a while, but it's not something I'd recommend. Anyway, that is the combo section of themes. I hope everybody enjoyed. Please feel free to subscribe up top on the left to see more MTG content, which will be coming soon. The upper right will have the playlist, which you can use to find the rest of the EDH videos that will hopefully continue to be coming. At the bottom right will be the next video, which should be up shortly, and the bottom left will be a previous video, in case you missed the control discussion. So thanks for watching, everybody. Feel free to comment below or PM me with any questions, and I hope to see you guys next time.